Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amapura Awakenings. Thanks so much for stopping by. I have a transition story for you today. This is kind of a very interesting story that I want to share with you today. A friend of mine, her aunt recently passed away, and when her aunt was in the hospital, kind of struggling, and we weren't sure if she was going to make it. And there had been several times that she was in the hospital recently, and she'd be in there, and then she'd come out, and then she'd go back in, and then she'd come out. And every time it was like a touch and go kind of situation. And so one of the times that she was in the hospital, my friend called and she said, "Hey, do you think you can connect with my aunt's spirit? Just kind of want to know a little bit about what's going on with her." And they think she's dying, actively dying right now. And so I did reach out for her aunt and I made a connection with her aunt's spirit, and her aunt showed me a vision. And the vision was that she separated from her body. So during this time that she was in the hospital, she had transcended out of her body. And I know I shared that information with you guys in the past, if you've watched some of the other transition videos. And so being transcended out of her body, she showed me a vision where she was walking down this like hallway, and the hallway was really well lit, and it was a very pretty hallway. And then a closet door opened in the hallway. And from the closet door, her twin sister, my friend's mom, leaned out of the closet door and she's like, "Hey, Janice, come on in here. This is where you'll find God. This is how we get to where we're going." And Janice is a little bit, spicy. And so when she walked up to the closet door, instead of going into the closet with her sister, she slammed the closet door on her sister. And she's like, "I'm not ready." And then she kept walking. And so I relayed that information. And I said, I was telling my friend at the time that I was having this connection, like, "Oh my God, your Auntie Janice just shut the door on your mom because she decided she wasn't ready to go yet and she's not going to die." And that was the vision that she gave me. Well, then we started to kind of laugh about that because it's kind of goes along with her aunt's personality. She's the boss of herself and she's not going to do anything she doesn't want to do. And so basically, she told her twin sister, like, "Nope, I'm not coming. So we're just going to have to make it another day." But as she did that, I was also privy to what was going on inside the closet where her sister was. And so what I saw was Jesus in the closet with her sister, and he like laughed at what my friend's Aunt Janice did. Like he thought that that was funny, that if you've ever seen like a little kid, and a little kid is feeling like demonstrative, and he's or she is going to like be the boss of themselves. And we know that they're not the boss of themselves. We know that as their parent, we're the ones that are, tasked to take care of them, and that we're basically the boss of them. And so we chuckle or we laugh and we think it's funny that they think they're the boss. And that's exactly what Jesus did in the closet, which wasn't really a closet. It was just a doorway, but the closet was very vast and it led to heaven. And it was, that cross into that realm. And so Jesus started laughing and he says to me and to my friend's mom, he goes, "Why do you guys always do that?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Why do we always do that?" And he shows me a vision of his crucifixion. And he says, "Why do you guys self crucify?" So at the beginning of this, he thought it was really cute, that Janice thought that she could make the decision of when she was going to pass or not pass. And she could very easily say no. And then she didn't have to go there and didn't have to go there at that time. And I just, the genuine joy and compassion that came out of Christ when he asked me that question, like, "Why do you guys do that? Why do you think that that's okay?" And I thought, and I said, "What do you mean? Why do we do what?" And because he showed me the vision of his crucifixion, I was like, "Why do we self-crucify?" And then he showed me many, many visions where people were going above and beyond to save their physical experience, and I don't know what you guys consider above and beyond. I don't know if that's an organ transplant. I don't know if that's a chemotherapy or radiation. I don't know if it's, I don't know what your threshold is for going above and beyond and saving your life or in saving a loved one's life when they are nearing the time of their passing. And again, we don't know the time of their passing. And it kind of struck me when he asked that question because it was, why are you guys doing this if I already did this? I already was crucified so that you guys didn't have to be, so that your souls would very easily rise to heaven. And I was on the phone with my friend during this whole experience, and I was like, that's such a good question that he's asking. Like, why do we do that? Why do we go above and beyond? And then right as I was saying that to my friend, I was in another place with Jesus, and we were like in this room, and there was like a card table in the room, and there was an hourglass on the card table. And he helped me in the vision to kind of understand, well, to understand that the hourglass on the table was my hourglass, and that hourglass was the hourglass of my life. And when all the sand falls to the bottom, that is the end of my life. Now, once I reach God's plan for the end of my life, I can make some choices there to go above and beyond. I can do extraordinary things to save my physical body. But what I understand is that sometimes in doing those extra additional things, which typically don't uh, typically don't make our life longer, and the longer time that those extra above and beyond things do uh, doesn't really give us a quality of life. Right. And so that idea of self crucifixion is like, yes, I can be here for another 3 years with tubes and medication and putting poison in my body and being sick every day and not having a quality of life. I can choose that, but that kind of turns into a self crucifixion. And it was at that moment that I saw my own hourglass, and I saw how much sand had fallen to the bottom of the hourglass already and how much sand was actually left. And at that moment, I decided that I kind of surrendered it, and I expressed with Jesus that, okay, I don't want to contradict what my hourglass says, because if he chose that time for me, then it's the best time for me, because it means that I can not self crucify, or I can leave this earth with a joyful experience, or a sense of surrender, or a sense of knowing that I am going to continue to live in the eternal realm and with Him. And I just wanted to share this story with you guys because it really impacted me. And sometimes I think about, like, how that one doctor did assisted suicide, and um, how that in families that seems like, why would you do that? Why would you end your life? Why would you not do all of these medications? Why won't you have a heart transplant? Why won't you, have a liver transplant? Why won't you, when our families or our friends, they want us to fight and we love them. And so because we love them, we want to fight because we love them. And that's why we do it. But it can sometimes result in putting us through a very difficult experience close to the end of our life. And this question that he posed was really about the quality of life and trusting that when our time is complete, um, that completion of our time lends to the progression of other people that stay here on this earth, whether it's toward their spiritual growth or it's toward an acceptance of heaven, or if it opens them up to receive communication from heaven, because a lot of people don't think about God and they don't think about heaven and they don't think about reaching out to the angels or to the loved ones in heaven until they actually die. And when they die, then you want to get connected and you want to talk to them and you miss them. And I don't know, this just impacted me because sometimes when somebody passes away, it opens the doors for us to grow within ourselves spiritually. Um, it's never good for the people here on earth when we lose the people that we love, but it is good for them. And a lot of times, if we can avoid the self crucifixion, maybe that might be the way to go. I'm kind of pondering this in my mind and struggling with the concept of this. And I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. Drop me some comments. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know your experiences on this. And yeah, that's all I wanted to share with you today. I hope everybody has a great day. Stay blessed.